Boys, we gotta talk about this, but one of one funding just went down today, and I have no issue with that. And again, I did call it. I told you guys. I just want you guys to know that I would never try to take advantage of you guys or use you guys for any extortion or anything. I talked to him. I have a lot of respect for him. I don't think he was the one that did this. He got a really good deal from this prop firm to put his face on everything and make a lot of money, and every person that was in that position would have done the same exact thing. But it's looking like the people that use that prop firm, all of his followers, are gonna probably get a little bit of a short stick in this. It looks like he's trying to do his best to make sure they don't. But boys, just please make sure to be careful with all this stuff, man. I would never put you in a position to take advantage of you. I'm fully here to just kind of be someone that you can talk to and learn from. We're on the same level. We're just humans. I love you guys, and I would never do some shit like that. I talked about it more in my Discord. Please feel free to just go join the free section. Best community in the game, man. It's all because of you. This is finally a good mentorship video that everyone I think could enjoy. Talking about supply and demand more and more and more. It has changed my life. I feel so much more confident than I ever have before trading. Every single day that I use this, I get more and more comfortable trading. Find your edge, make it custom to you, and actually start making money. That's what it's all about. This video is going to show you exactly that. Subscribe! What's good? Welcome back to the mentorship. You better watch the other two because this video is going to be really important. This 2025 mentorship is going to be, I think, the greatest thing ever introduced into the trading space. This is not my third red day of the year. Trades just aren't going my way, and that's totally fine. As long as we're taking good setups, good trades, it doesn't matter. When I'm at traffic, gotta slide with the beam on. Because I keep out 10 rides busting out the jeans. I'm trying to put so much time into just quality, making sure every single trade I take, I feel so good. I'm seeing the market better than I ever have before. I feel so confident taking every single trade I take. I'm gonna make sure you get on that same exact path too. This video, super important. This is my entire life, my strategy, supply and demand. This is exactly how I trade every single day to give yourself, in my eyes, the best chance to see some money being put in your bank account. Supply and demand tips, how to chart, how to make sure every single time you are drawing zones, you are trading off them correctly, you are making sure that every single one of these things are really, really important for yourself. Most important thing here is just making sure every single trade that you take, you're feeling extremely confident with the setups that you have. You guys saw one-on-one funding yesterday just completely went down. I was right. I told you guys from the get-go, I knew that this thing was going down. I talked to that man personally, and we did squash the beef out. I had a little bit of a beef with him for a little bit. I wouldn't call it that, but you know, we exchanged some stuff online. I think it was stupid. In hindsight, we did talk about this, and he did agree with me that it was just kind of a dumb situation, and he kind of got put in a bad spot, just how I kind of did. If you guys watched the other video I first made about this a couple months ago about how I hate one-of-one funding, it was all a cash grab. That's all it was. Can you blame a creator for just being asked to put his face all over everything and just get a bunch of money for it? But the whole consumer base was just people that love him and follow him and appreciate him. So it kind of sucks because those people really got screwed. Allegedly, they're supposed to get their money. I don't know. But I don't think there's any problem with what he's done. And I think it's really just, you know, the business itself. It wasn't him that really took this into the ground. But I called it. I was right. I knew it, you motherfuckers. I told you that right away that this shit was a fraud. This shit was all fake. This was all cap. This is all, I knew it. Right now, you guys can see I got a lot of zones up, and I do this every single time I make a video like this, and I really hate it because I do really enjoy these areas, but we're going to remove all my zones. This is the entire supply and demand application to your chart. This is the entire application of my supply and demand strategy. I'm not telling you guys how I trade it specifically or what makes me want to do certain things with it, but we're going to look at a certain just layout format to actually make sure our zones are very strong, very confident every single time. That's what it's all about. It's not about having the perfect zone, but being able to watch price, you know, exercise itself within that area, seeing this really quick volume, really sharp volume, waiting for the application of that zone, whatever side it is. If you know, if you're seeing a bottom wick or a top wick, wherever inside that zone, then you can actually react off of it. But it's super important. We're just taking the time to understand that these zones are everything that we trade off of, and it's extremely important that you live and die by them. And that's a really please don't take that in the wrong way, but you have to be able to, if you see a zone approaching, regardless of the trend, and it reacts off of it, you have to take the trade. You have to. Now, I've experience with just picking and choosing, but I really do not think that's a good idea, because doing this as well, you'll be able to see the liquidity actually be exchanged, and then you can jump in and make sure you never get swept on, so you can have even higher of a win rate. I made multiple videos about this. You guys don't know, then you already do know. Every single zone I trade off of, I start on the 4 hour and I draw every session high and low. So, you know, before market opened up today, it was right around here. I drew out this high, I drew out this low. What you want to look for, again, every single time you start to trade, and you can remove your zones every single day and restart this process. You want to see current price be in between these two areas, okay? Then you want to mark out the high and you want to mark out the low. At this point, you can actually go and add more zones, or you can, you know, do whatever you like to do. It's very customizable. That's why I really do like telling people how to do this and preaching it to them, because it's not exactly, you don't have to listen to exactly how I do it. And I hate when people do that, just like an ICT, you know, where it's so by the book, you have to do this, you have to do this, you have to do this. I just want to give you kind of a concept, and you can kind of just create it into your own thing. That's what I've done, and it's made me the best I've ever been. But you do want to kind of find where current price is, mark out the high, mark out the low of the session, and you kind of want to look to trade in between that. And that's kind of the thing where it can get creepy, because if it does get above, you're going to have to obviously maybe add more zones, look for another area on the smaller time frames to trade off of. But right now you guys can see exactly this is actually rejecting off this 4-hour high, which I did expect it to do. I just don't really trade off the 4-hour zones that much because of the fact that they are 4-hour lows and highs. It would take, multiple candles on the 4-hour time frame to see the move we wanted to see, and that is just way too much time for me to actually be able to do that, because I only trade for an hour a day usually. But you guys can see exactly on the 1 hour, look at that rejection, perfect rejection off that high. That is a perfect close to jump in right here, jump in at the close, SL at the top of the wick, and you take that trade every single time you get. Very similar to the candle you guys see right here that actually created this high. I like to try and find a central area in between these to actually take trades off of, kind of put one in the middle, and this is a 1 hour previous low we had. There's not any clear rejections, maybe this one right here, but just kind of seeing a lot of price being exchanged in this area. It's a very good area to have at least marked out. My dream would be a high, a low, and kind of a median level just like this every single day. At this point, boom. So we have our 4 and 1 hour highs and lows and whatever zones we can find marked out on our chart. You could say something like this, like, Steph, oh my gosh, why aren't you marking out this area right here? Now this is a clear area of buys. You see this initial bottom wick being made. Once again, price sells off into it and comes right back, gets underneath it, which I like to see, gets underneath it, comes right back up, closes above. Then price comes back into it and buys up off of it. First of all, this was CPI, so the reaction off of it technically wasn't just from pure price action. But the reason why I'm not marking that out is just because it's way too big. There's areas where you're just not going to be able to mark out because of the size of them. Like if I were to mark this out on my chart, which is totally fine, you can do that. Let me see how much this would be. It'd be too big. It's almost 200 points, and that's impossible for me to take a trade off of. These, you want to look for less than 100 points ideally. Something like this, like around 80, that's a pretty big zone. I would never trade off of it. But again, these are more areas of kind of straying away from. You don't want to look to take longs in this area like I did today, because I'm an idiot. But if you see price approaching a 4 hour high, you don't want to take longs. It's not a good idea. If you see this approaching this low, you don't want to take shorts. You want to wait till it's underneath it or above it in this case to then continue to take a trade. And then if price is up here, this median that you have, you could actually look for longs off of. And if price is over here, let's say, you can look for this area to take shorts off of. At this point, once we have the 1 and the 4 hour marked out, now we can just go on the 15 minute and kind of just explore what price is doing. You guys can see right here that this was the actual only other zone I'll draw today. I like to draw other zones in the shorter time frames just to give myself actual areas for me to trade off of. And this is a perfect time to do that today. You guys see right here, we had this rejection off of this. I would take this trade. This was past my time of trading, so I obviously didn't take it. I'm done for the day. I'm down. But wait for this candle to close, jump in right here, SL right here. TP would probably just be at the top or at this zone, entry of the zone, because of the where the heck is, holy crap. But we saw this 15-minute bottom wick being made. We saw price move up off of it. We saw price coming back down, bought right up off of this zone we had. Remember, change your color, because this will actually give you an easier identification of understanding, like, okay, this is a zone I would want to trade off of compared to these highs and lows on the 4 and 1 hour that are very big time frame moves. And you guys see this, I guess it's still playing out right now, but we might hit TP right here, but again, we're not in this trade, doesn't matter. But what happened here was this is exactly what I like to look for. So we had this big buy up off this low. We initially made this, boom. At this point, we go ahead and mark this zone out because of the fact it's the pretty much only bottom wick we have of the day so far, and it is currently low of day, I believe, since market open. Yeah, this is the market open candle, so this is the low of open. Boom, price buys up, rejects off this 4 hour high. But again, just because it rejects off this 4 hour high does not mean that bullish sentiment is gone. This is a super bullish day, and someone asked me about this today, like why I didn't want to take a trade to the short side and why I actually took longs playing into this zone. Trend is always going to trump a zone. It's just what it comes down to. It might take a while, and you guys see it might actually still hold up. But long term, if you look back at this in a couple days or at the end of the day, I'm pretty confident that this will get above, because you don't want to just live and die by the zones on a fact of it's going to flip the complete trend. But if you can get a good entry for a retracement off of the high, it's a pretty good chance to do it, especially in this area. You're getting a lot of value out of shorts at this high because we are so overextended. We're kind of due for a move down. But again, if you would have understood that this was our 15-minute low, you could take a short entry around here, TP right in here. But the reason why I like longs here is we obviously push up to this high. We would liquidity sweep on the 4 hour high, and we come down right as we tap into this area, automatically buy up off it, close above. We jump in right at this candle close. This gives me a 1.6 hour trade, which is pretty good, and it looks like we're at a hit TP on this, but again, that doesn't matter. Doing this is always going to result in a better entry for yourself. Yes, you are actually taking a trade outside of the zone, but you're looking for the continuation of it. We want to see price get exercised before we get into the trade. I want to see an actual I want to see buys get executed before I take the trade. I don't want to have to wait for it to get in. Boom, we tap this, then we jump in, and I have to kind of hope that we see buys here. That's kind of risky, and that's kind of gambling in my eyes. It's what I think of. Like, you're legitimately just hoping that when price comes in this area, we just see buys. Why would you not just wait till we actually see the buys happen and see it push up off the zone, wait for the close? You're not going to get as good of an entry, but maybe you have a better exit because you want it to play down to the zone because you just played to the bottom of the wick. And you also have the confirmation in your head that buys actually were exchanged here. Now I'm expecting to see a continuation of this up. And that's exactly what happened here. Price comes down. Instead of just jumping in right here, which again, it would have been a better entry, but not always. And sometimes you're going to get stopped out. Price buys up, close above. We jump right into this close. SL is only here. Instead of having to do a trade where we actually have our SL at the bottom of the zone, praying for a move, where we're just pretty much praying on our knees, hoping that it plays out. We actually have confirmation of buys, and we're just looking for a continuation of that. And on the 15-minute, we can even go down, and we can go down on the 15-minute. You guys know I like to trade the 2-minute a lot. I love the 2-minute. I love the 3-minute. I love the 1-minute a lot. Looks like we need to hit TP on this just to prove a point. Price today was pretty choppy. There was really no opportunities to have any areas marked out because we already have this 4-hour high. Like, this candle right here is a pretty good area to mark out if we didn't have an area already like this. But again, we have this 4-hour high here, so that doesn't matter. All you're looking for, again, is just pivot points. Pivot points is what I pretty much trade off of. It's something, I don't know if that's the actual terminology, but I coined it as one. I love seeing price trade off of pivot areas. Pivot areas are, again, these moves up, boom, pivoting price. We're seeing kind of a V form every time. Boom, pivot right here, boom. I love trading off pivot points. Boom, curve here, boom. And it looks like right here, we're actually making a higher low, and we could continue up here. This could be our next pivot right here. I'm actually about to start just saying everything like that. I'm about to call everything pivot points. I'm about to create my own strategy, and everyone's going to glaze me and think it's the best strategy ever, bro. Watch this. Doing this every single session is just going to give you such a good outlook and prediction of price moving forward. You got to think, man, it's all a game of supply and demand. Every single thing that's being exercised right now is because of supply and demand. There is a reason why NQ is moving up or down on the day. It could be news, it could be current events, it could be anything at all. But it all derives from supply and demand. Understanding why price moves the way it does and why prices are valued at certain things. Why is Bitcoin $100,000 and Fartcoin the tenth of a cent? Because Bitcoin actually has value. These are things that actually are derived as really important. Apple's worth $1 trillion, and Hungry Howie's is probably worth $500. You can equate that to trading every single day. Why is price turning around here? Why is price rejecting here? Why is price rejecting here? It's all a game of just overvalued, undervalued. And these are areas where people look to exit. So if you can get these key areas marked out on your chart where you're expecting to see a lot of volume being exercised, you can give yourself a really good chance to catch these big moves and see lots of volume following your entry. The law of supply and demand is a theory that seeks to explain the relationship between the availability and desire for a product such as a security and its price. Typically, low availability and high demand boost the price of an item, and high availability and low demand reduce its price. This is one part I do want to tap into is freshness. Like, if you trade supply areas, always make sure the zone is still fresh, which means that after the initial creation of a zone, the price has not come back to it yet. Each time, blah, 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 blah. Basically, it's saying you want to make sure whenever you have a zone drawn, it's not the first time, or it is the first time that you've seen price actually exchange back to there. Meaning, this is the first time that price has currently hit it, so you're expecting a larger reaction. This is something I've experienced with, and I really can't tell the difference. I've traded off zones that were months old and still had really good success, but I do think that this is a good thing to do. Always refresh your zones. It's only going to help you out. I would recommend this, but yes, I think the zones you do draw, you should intentionally try to make sure it's the first time they've rejected. Like this high and low we have created, this is the first time prices are reacting off of them, and you can see it's actually working out. This is yet to be filled, and you guys understand that this one has still been reacted off of, but I still think it's a very good area because all you're looking for here is you're not looking for an automatic entry. You're just looking for a chance to see some volume coming in for a potential retest and a continuation. That's all you're looking for. I don't like to look at every single zone I trade of as an automatic entry for something, or I'm trying to get in before other people. I'm just looking for good areas on my chart where you're going to see price sort of consolidate, see a lot of volume, and just look for a continuation of that after it's being formed. But again, it's always about waiting, looking what happens inside of the zone, waiting for the reaction, jumping in, having confirmation that this zone actually still works. Because if it doesn't show me anything here, I can just get rid of it. I'm not kind of having to premeditate everything. I'm waiting to see the reaction. If I see a reaction off of it, I'm going to take the trade. I'm a very visual person, and being able to look at a chart and see areas where I'm expecting an opportunity for me to take a trade always helps me out so much. Because if you get rid of this stuff, man, it's so hard to just look at this chart and just try and predict where price is going to move without having any sort of visual representation of that. That's why I love these zones. It's so important to have these up for me. It makes me feel so much more confident taking trades. And that's what it's all about. And that's not a trick. There's nothing fake about this. But the number one thing you do the number one reason why you do this is to give yourself that visual representation of an opportunity for you to take a trade. God forbid something like this is not real, which again, this obviously is, but now you're at least having in your mind, you're feeling confirmation, you're feeling more confident to play one side rather than the other. And that's that edge that you're going to get when you're trading. Subscribe.